So, knowing yourself and knowing others. I'm really excited about this one, you guys, because, you know, we have to know ourselves. It's a whole lifelong lesson to learn ourselves, know about ourselves. It's nothing that takes overnight. Hold on a second. I just finished drinking a whole bunch of tea. Okay, so knowing yourself. Please, you guys, honestly, if you have any pens, you guys have any pens? I forgot to bring some. No? That's cool. I'll send you guys this on the internet. Hi, Asia. I like having the kids in here, right? Really do. They have different kinds of auras, children do. Right? Like the energy that comes from them is like, whoa. And I'm like, hi. Okay. So, when it comes to knowing yourself, right? I honestly feel that we should not even try to get to know other people until we get to know ourselves first, right? And knowing ourselves, I always encourage people to make a list of their skills, okay, experiences, and unique qualities. Because we all have unique qualities. But skills, like why make a list of our skills? Because of course we know our skills, right? Why do we have to write them down? But it's important to write them down because then once we see them written, they're more readily available in our mind of what we're good at. And we can just name them off to other people, right? And we're always in a situation where people will ask us, so, you know about tables? What do you know about tables? And you can say, well, I know that they stand, they have 4 legs, blah, 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 you know? So you kind of you really know your skills because then you have them written down and then they become a part of your mind. And it's almost like a note written on your mind. So whatever you're good at, write it down. Experiences. A lot of people, they have bad experiences, good experiences. It doesn't matter what kind of experiences you had, write them down. The reason why is you can guide others. And that's what we're all looking for, really, to experience something, and then not only to experience it and live and keep moving, but to help someone else that might come in our path, right? And then you're like, oh, I went through that. This is how you get through it. Right? You make a list of your experiences because again, once you make a list of them, what happens is you start to realize what you experience. Again, if it's bad or good, you start to realize, hey, I did go through that. Whether it has to do with love, being cheated on. I'm saying cheated on because my last client that just left, it was harsh. She was being cheated on, right? And that's why we're doing overtime because it's such a topic that you can't just rush. Right? Or if it's something good, like, you know, you experience winning the lottery, right? Those are good things, and we all have to make lists of our unique qualities as well, because once we make a list of our unique quality, no matter what it is, walking backwards, doesn't matter how simplistic it is, it helps us realize that we do stand out from others, right? I love that scarf. Did you make that one? Okay. Susie's making scarves. Are you ready? Okay, so you guys are ready to get some. But, okay, so when you, unique qualities, for instance, Susie is an artist, right? And she's going to be taking her art and she's going to be putting them to scarves and making scarves and then making a business out of it, right? And that is a unique quality that you could give to the world and then you know that it's different from what others have, right? It doesn't only make you stand out, but it also makes you realize what gift you have. And these are the things that help us to get to know ourselves. Because sometimes we can just sit there and say, oh yeah, I did this and I did that. But having it down in a little book that we can look at every now and again is pretty cool. It's almost like awards in the wall, right? People get awards and they're like, yeah, I got an award for this and an award for that, right? They're unique qualities. All right, so these 5 main points are ways in which you can empower your life. This is what I do in my life. This is what I teach every one of my clients and what I share with people. My son, my daughter, and I notice that people's lives turn around almost overnight. Okay, they become so empowered with just these 5 points. Okay, number 1, learn 5 new words a month. Okay, do you know that people on regular learn 5 new words a year? That's it. That's not nearly enough to be empowered. 5 new words. Now, the reason why it's so important to learn 5 even just words, is to know your language. A little story. I grew up with this guy, I won't say his name because the video is running. But I grew up with him, right? And you know, you guys don't know, I was raised in the hood and stuff like that, right? And there was very few people that had huge vocabularies. Not too many people went to, you know, not a lot of people went to school and stuff like that, right? Or they didn't have a lot of people around them with huge vocabularies that spoke about university and college, right? We would have to really look it up ourselves or rely on teachers to guide us and stuff of that nature, right? I was fortunate because I had two parents in the home guiding me and stuff like that, but it was a little different for this other guy. He would go around and he would be like talking with his friends and he would be like, yo man, that is so discombobulated. Right? He would use these big words. And everyone would be like, I was going to say his name, I'll just call him Charlie. Okay, Charlie is so smart. That's what everyone would say because no one took the time to realize that he was using every single big word, you know, every single word in his vocabulary out of context. He didn't even know what the words meant, right? But because he used these words, it set him apart from others, and it made others think that he really was smart, right? And he would be like, yo, holy, this chair is so fantabulous, right? And people would get to the point where he'd be making up words and they think it was real words, right? And that, why is that? Because he took the time to hear a word, although he didn't take time to look it up in the dictionary, he still had enough oomph in him to say, hey, I heard that word, keep it in his head and use it. Increasing your vocabulary is so important. I give my son a word every week. So the word that we had just last week was ostracize, okay? So just last night, my mother calls me on the phone and she's like, can you tell Tyree to call me up? Because, you know, your stepdad's birthday party's coming. I want to know if he's going to do a speech. And I'm like, okay. So texted Tyree and told him, call your grandmother. So he leaves me a text and he's like, okay, Mom, I just called her right now. She wanted to talk to me about the party, but I called her right away because I didn't want her to feel ostracized. He used it a little out of context kind of thing, but he still used it. And the more he uses it, the more he'll realize where it slides in, right? Although he used it at the proper time, it, you know, didn't really slide in too much there, but it works, right? And so that using words, so learning one word, and the reason why I say 5 words a month is because usually there's 4 weeks in a month or 5 weeks in a month. You learn one new word a week. There's so many words in the dictionary, and we can never have too much of a large vocabulary. And that's what will empower us as human beings as well. Because other people will be like, oh, just every single sentence she uses or he uses, like it's a big word. And it's not. Like since I got hit by the car, my vocabulary, gone. So I'm rebuilding it again, right? And this week I'm using inherent, right? And that's my word. Tyrese was ostracized. I gave a word to Anthony. Do you remember it?
Inherent.
Inherent.
Innate, sorry, innate. Yeah.
And they're same meaning basically. They're used in different ways, but that's what we should do. Like, you know, all of us too. Like we can even email each other if we all have a word that we thought was cool and have an email list and have just words that we can all study. Because again, it empowers us as human beings. And 5 words a year is not nearly enough to start empowering yourself. Not even close. A year? Like, come on. How many new words do we hear in 1 week, right? So, words, know our own language, and that also demonstrates to people that we pretty much know what we're saying, right? Although we should learn the meaning, unlike Charlie, right? But it worked for him, God bless him. Okay, so number 2, become a master at what you're good at, okay? I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, and it said, so many people sit back and they're like, what business could I create, right? And they want to start a brand new business, but that's not what works for people. Because not only are you starting a brand new business, but you have to spend millions on advertising to get people over on that side of the new business. You have to teach them what the new business is all about. You have to show them exactly why it works and how they'll benefit from it. So many millions go into it. Open up something that is already there, like coffee, right? Like Tim Hortons makes Starbucks and everyone, they run the same thing. Me, like coaching, right? Motivational speakers have always existed, right? Right from Napoleon Hill and even before him in the 1800s, right? So you have to look at something that already exists and that people are attracted to. And if you're good at it, then definitely make a business at it, right? Like scarves, again, bringing it back to scarves. What's unique about it is your art, but you know scarves sell, right? So hey, put your art in the scarf and you the best of both worlds, right? And it's almost like, you know they're gonna sell, right? So that's what you're good at, write it down. And you will find that again in your skills, your unique qualities, and your experiences. All those tie in to what you can master in life and empower yourself. It's very important to do that. Like, I'm very good at shopping. Excellent at shopping. That's why I talk about it so much. But I get my stuff at bargain basement prices. This purse right here is a designer purse. And let me tell you how I got it for 30 bucks. And the woman didn't even know what she was selling. Okay, I got back home and I noticed that on the tag, and I only bought it because it matches these boots. Right? And I got it home and I was like, what? There's a tag on the inside that you can't really see. I looked it up and it's this guy Christian something, and he sells his purses for $400 on the internet. And I was like, yep, that's right there. And that excites me because then I know where people can go and shop now and get really good things at bargain basement prices. They're just liquidating it all. That's what I'm good at as well. So, you know, I let people know, my friends and my family. That's just an example. I have a friend who is a bodybuilder. And he goes up to the gym constantly, okay? And he's always at the gym, and he's always talking about his biceps and his abs and his calves. And I'm always like, so do something with it, dude. Like, you know, like write a book about it. Or, you know, encourage people who are trying to get fit, right? Something like that. Do something with it. So we're working on that, and I think he will do it. Okay, so point number 3, to empower yourself, get books. Books, guys. Books. You little ones. Malcolm, what you got there? Is that a, is that a little game player? What does he got there?
DS.
What's that? Nintendo? Okay, so you do have to do some reading, right, with that? Like it gives you instructions on what to do? No? Well, what about when you get a new game? Because you probably know that game like the back of your hand. What about when you get a new game? Do you have to read instructions? And then it helps you learn about the game? Same thing with books. You can go back to the games. Same thing with books, right? As adults. We can pick up a book and learn about the past, history, present, future, it doesn't matter, but we should all be reading something. Books are an investment, not an expense. Anthony always gets audiobooks, right?
Yeah.
Audiobooks. I've never had an audiobook, but I hear like, and especially people who I know were like readers that I grew up with and stuff like that, they love these audiobooks. And they're buying them. Like, offline to the point where I'm going to start doing my own audiobooks. Stuff that I'm going to start reading all my books that I wrote and sell them too. Because they're selling. Right? And again, they're an investment. There's this website, it's a Google page, and it's books.google something, and you can get free books. Some of them is just a preview, like a snippet preview. Some of them there is no preview at all. But some of them, like the Diamond Sutra, this book that I really, really love, it's about opening up the mind and clearing consciousness. Diamond Sutra, it's called. I'm telling you, that book is on there for free.
They don't have it in audio though. They don't have it in audio. I've checked all over now.
I was going to say that book is so old,
Yeah.
and it's for free. Diamond Sutra. I love it. And it's all about, like, you know, just trying to get books. Goodwill, when I go there, it's for books. Right? Nowadays, I've been a little afraid because I heard that, you know, there's all kinds of problems with the books and stuff like that. Yeah, but anyway, I go into the shop and they're like 25 cents each. Sometimes you can get $4 for $1. Sometimes you can get $6 for $1 books. Right? For me, books, I can never get enough of them. Right? And sometimes I won't even read the whole book. right? And I don't even know what happened recently. I started to get emails from these Christian publishers, and they are sending me books for free for me to look at the people who wrote it, just to analyze it, and then give them back my thought and feeling on it. And by the way, if you guys have any books that you want to get rid of, there's a prison program that we can send books to in Vancouver, BC. And just let me know if you want to donate books, and they send them to the prisoners. So that's how important books are, that even prisoners are requesting books in Vancouver, BC. And it's an all-volunteer program. So books, they expand our knowledge, they increase our opportunity to prosper. They really, truly do. Even if it's just a little, pamphlet, right? Pamphlet that you guys can get, read it, right? You never know what you're going to learn. 4, develop a great attitude. Okay. Develop a great attitude. Doing so will give you more rewards in life. Great attitude. You know, I had there's this guy in my building, and I say to him all the time, hi, because I say hi to everyone, right, in my building, because we live together in the same building. Anything happens, I want to know someone has my back, right, and I have their back. So I say hi to him, and he just turns his head, so I'm like, that's okay, because I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep saying hi to him until one day he has to say hi, right? So he has a bad attitude. And I won't lie, one day he was on his way to the elevator, and I knew he was coming. I thought, I'm just going to press close. That's why I hold the door open for him, if he's so mean. Right? But then I thought, no, I'll just get bad karma for that. I'm not going to do that, right? But but he has a bad attitude. And when we have bad attitudes, we prevent people from wanting to be nice to us. Right? You guys all are nice, I know. You guys all have that compassionate heart. But when someone else is mean or whatever, do not hesitate to just crush them. I'm joking. No, when someone's mean, they treat you with bad attitude, just know something happened to them. It's not on you. Keep giving them love. And just send love their way, right? Keep sending it no matter what. Okay, 5. Always behave good. Always. Do not be the type of person who feels good doing something bad. Okay? When a good person does something bad, they feel bad. There's a feeling in them where their consciousness starts to burn them. I went to a store and I told the woman it came up with $50, and I told her I had cash in my pocket. I didn't want to spend it all, and so I gave her my debit card and I said I'm going to put $5 cash, okay, and $45 on the machine. I don't know why I told her $5 cash. Now looking back on it, I know why. But I told her $5 cash, $45 on the machine. She said, okay. She handed me the machine, and it said $5 on it. Okay, so she got it backwards. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a blessing, right? And I'm like, okay, right. She didn't notice. So I put in my code and everything, and I gave her back the machine. The whole time my heart's beating fast. And I'm like, I'm gonna get caught, I'm gonna get caught. And I felt so bad in a minute, and I'm still going with it, right? So she takes the machine, she starts doing her thing, she said, okay, bye. And I'm like, okay, bye. And I walk out and I get in the car, and I'm cool. Drive up the street, I didn't even get half a mile, and my heart starts beating fast, and my consciousness starts saying, what's wrong with you? Like, seriously? Like, and God's like telling me over and over, like, is this how I want you to be? How are you going to represent me? And that's what you're doing. That's not good, and that's not of God. And if you're doing that, you're not doing my works. And I keep getting this in my head, and my consciousness is feeling bad. I turned around and went right back to the store. Left my bags in the car, but I took the receipt in, and I said to her, you know what, I noticed that you did this wrong, and I told her what happened. And she was like, oh, thank you. Then I said to her, will you get in trouble? She was like, no, but it's okay. And then I even said to myself then, shoot, why am I like that? She's not going to get in trouble. Okay, and then I said to myself a minute later, I was like, no, Cerise, you did it because you didn't feel good doing this bad thing. And then I realized why I gave her the $5. Like that's normally not me. Normally I'd be like, okay, I'm going to give you a 20 and put 30 on the machine or whatever. Why give her $5, right? The reason why is I was not being blessed. I was being tested. Huge difference. So when we think something is too good to be true, most times it is. Okay? And I was not being blessed. God was testing my heart. And he was like, how are you going to feel about this? You going to go take that money? And the woman's not going to get in trouble. Okay? The woman would not even have gotten in trouble at all. At the end of the day, I would have gotten in trouble with God. And that is the most serious thing. And for me, it was like, it proved to me that I'm a good person, right? Sometimes we need to be reminded that we are good people. And it proved to me I'm a good person because I didn't feel good doing that bad thing. And then, after I left the store, right, and I was all figured out in my head that I did the right thing and everything, I felt like there was a huge burden off my back. A huge burden. And money just started to flow in after that anyway. It wasn't like I was hurting for money in the first place to have to go and rip this store off, right? So those little things there, when we think that, yeah, it's okay to get away with it, it's not. And once we feel good about it, that means that we have to put our heart and our check into mind. And once we start to develop those kinds of things in our life, we do become empowered, right? So reading books, learning new words, doing good things. And what was the other point? Mastering what we're good at, okay? And those are all things that will empower us as human beings. They're very, very little instructions, but they do work. Knowing others now. Have any of you guys heard of the warrior Sun Tzu? No? Have you guys ever heard of that book, Art of War? I've read it, right? But and I do like logical books, but it's about a warrior who helped, I think it was Chu and Wu or something like that, 2 continents in China or something. I mean, two regions in China fight each other. And he was on the side that was the smaller amount of people. And he helped the king defeat the larger amount of people through the mind, getting to know your enemy. So they didn't just go in and fight one-on-one. What they did was they went and they fought, and then they pulled out and they went to a different area. And so they basically used strategic thinking to win the war. And he wrote The Art of War. And he wrote it all on, I think it was bamboo sticks. And he sewed them together, right? And so now that has been turned into a book called The Art of War. And I'm pretty sure you guys can probably get snippets of that on the Google page I told you about. And it's almost just like parables from the Bible too, right? So that's what I like about it. But it's a really interesting book. And so he says the one sentence that I always love: know your enemy. The reason why is not to put your enemy down or crush your enemy or anything, but you gotta know who doesn't like you and why, right? You just have to keep that in mind always. And they might try to do something to you behind your back, you know, at work or at home or in the family with your loved ones. There's always someone there. Bob Marley, I call him a musical prophet, right? I heard him in an interview one time say, you cannot please all the people all the time, just some of the people some of the time. So what about those people who you're not pleasing, right? Some of them just hate you for no reason. Maybe they don't like the way you speak, they don't like the sound of your voice, they don't like if you're too happy or if you're too sad, right? But always know your enemy. Make a list of your enemies and pray for them, right? So if there's someone at work or there's someone somewhere that you don't like very much and you know they don't like you, write their name down and pray for them. If they're too crass, like if they're just too stupid in the way they speak to other people and stuff like that, right? They don't have much sense. You just say, I pray for them to start gaining some wisdom. Because the more you pray for others, the more you will also be blessed. Okay? And also make a list of the people who love you, right? And pray for them. I found a list that I made 2 years ago for a few people that I prayed for. And this one woman, God bless her, like seriously, God bless her, she has cancer. And she's still hanging on. And I know I'm not the only one praying for her. A lot of people are praying for her, but every time I see her, I'm like, wow, like, you know, she keeps going down and back up again. But she has people praying for her. And I found that list the other day, and I was like, well, I included her in my prayers too. You know, it's always nice to find you actually, which reminds me of something, 2 years later, you actually open up the list and you're like, wow, that person is actually doing better. I'm just going to put this here for a minute. I'm going to give you guys one of those when I'm down here. Okay. So, now, how to empower others. 5 points. 1, there is no eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Back in the day, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Guys, little ones here, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth means? Do you know what eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth means, Veda? You do? What does it mean?
It means if I hurt you, that doesn't mean that you have to hurt me back.
I don't think I could have said it better. Good, isn't that nice? That's right, exactly. And we're not supposed to. Do you know why? Because no one's perfect, right? So if I hurt you, right, the best thing is for you to say, okay, I'm sure I'm going to hurt someone tomorrow, so I forgive you. That's a really good answer. And I'm glad we got that on tape, because it's going to be all over the internet, girlfriend. And when you grow up one day, you'll hear it. Yeah, and that's important. Okay, so none of us are perfect, right? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, not cool, right? We always have to forgive people. We're not perfect. You guys know that, right? But when we do have that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth mentality, that means we're harboring anger. What happens is we start to take away our power, and we start to give other people our power. This is all about empowering ourselves because, you know, it's important to live in God's way. God, we do so many wrong things to Him every day, like running out of the store instead of paying for it just because we think we're being blessed, right? But we do so many bad things to God every day that He just turns His head and He says, they'll run back to me. He doesn't do eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. So when we are walking in God's way, we have to walk in God's way. Exactly how He moves and operates is how we have to move and operate, right? 2, every discord is an opportunity to draw closer to God. So we have those arguments and everything. We have 2 choices. 1, argue and fight, cause conflict and corruption. Or 2, forgiveness, love, and God draws closer to us, right? And I believe that most conversations happen just so we can show God most conflicts happen just so we can show God that we can take the upper road, be the bigger person, and show Him love by just behaving like Him. And spread love as well. Because that's the best way to spread love is during conflict. Holding your tongue. Don't say, I got into a conflict last night. Okay, I got into a conflict last night and I wanted to slice this person with my tongue. Oh, and it was over the phone too. And I could have said anything and gotten away with it, right? But I was like, held my tongue in my mouth. Didn't even anything that came to my mind that I wanted to rebuttal back. I was like, no, they're not going to get the best of me. They want me to say something, right? Obviously, it was a man that, it's from my past, but he wanted me to say something to him, and I wasn't about to. I was just like, I understand where you're coming from. That's cool. All right. We got off the phone. He doesn't have anything in his head except him feeling like a fool. Okay? And speaking of fools, that's my 3rd point. Do not ever correct a fool. Okay? Do you know what a fool is, Veda? A fool is someone who does silly things, foolish things. They know better, or they're supposed to know better, but they just keep doing it. A fool is someone where you say to them, don't walk in that puddle, you're going to get your shoes wet. And then they go, no, I'm not going to get my shoes wet. Watch, I'm going to walk in this puddle. Right? What? So that really happened?
No, because she's laughing because she always loves to step in puddles.
But this is the key.
When she was little.
Oh, when she was little, so did I. I used to splash right in. But this is the key. When the fool walks in and the fool gets their shoes wet, they don't turn around and look at the wise person and say, oh, you're right. What they do is they turn around and they say, why did you put that up on me? Right? No, a foolish person is someone who doesn't take wise counsel. Always know when you're around fools because you will know them right away just by the way they speak and the way they behave and the way they act. They're like, 45 years old and they're acting like they're 15, cursing and swearing up a storm around kids and, you know, saying things that they shouldn't say. Foolishness, right? And the reason why I say never correct them, because they're dangerous. They will always try to come back at you. There's an old ancient Chinese saying that says the wise man goes to the fool with a stick and hits the fool with the stick, but the fool turns around instead of saying, oh, thank you for correcting me. The fool turns around, grabs that stick and beats the wise man and kills him. Okay? Because the fool's so angry that he was hurt. And so you have to be very careful who you correct. And that's one thing that helps empower yourself and empower others. Don't even take your time correcting fools. Okay? I've learned to, I don't give unsolicited advice to anyone unless I know that they are wise enough to handle it. Okay? And this is being taped, otherwise I would give all kinds of examples right now of people who I would give it. She's like, turn it off for a second. But yes, I'm telling you, there's some foolish people out there that don't even understand the power of wisdom. That's what it is. They don't even know what wisdom is. They don't even want to learn it. They don't care. It's best not to even teach it to them. 4, even when somebody offends you, respond with an even temper. That means be cool with them, be kind with them. You know, someone annoys you, just ignore them and keep it moving. And 5, treat people with the same respect and appreciation you wish to be treated with. Yesterday, I was on the phone with you, Anthony. I was walking. Do you remember I told you, hold on a second, and I ended up talking to a woman in the background? And you had to get off and call dispatch?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what happened was, I'm walking, I'm leaving Loblaws, I'm on the phone with Anthony, and I'm walking, and I see this older woman, senior citizen, and she has a stroller, right? And it's rare to see a senior citizen with a stroller unless it's a grandchild, right? So I look in the stroller, and it's a dog in the stroller. So I'm like, this woman has a dog in the stroller, right? And so I looked at her and I was like, oh, it's a dog. And she's like, yeah. Right? And I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, and then at that moment I could read that people are going to clap about it, right? And I said, that's okay. Dogs know how to have comfort just like we're allowed to have comfort. And she was like, oh, really? You think so? And I said, yes, absolutely. She goes, well, my dog's a senior citizen. Right? And this dog is sat up in the baby stroller, and there's this little cover over the baby stroller, and the dog's like a princess, or like a queen. And you can tell the dog was old, right? You can see this woman must have had the dog for a long time, because she's a senior citizen too. And I said, hey, well, dogs are senior citizens too, and they shouldn't be treated any differently than an older person. And her dog's smaller than my dog. And she was like, yeah, well, and I'm not going to make her walk. And I'm like, no, of course not. She still wants to enjoy outside. So at this moment, I'm trying to treat her the way I would want to be treated. If Magic was hurt or something, my dog was hurt, and I still wanted her to go outside and get fresh air, I'll put her up in a stroller. But seriously, I don't want anybody treating me wrong just because they disagree with it. Right? And so I could tell that woman, when she gave me attitude from the get-go, that there was a lot of people giving her attitude, and it's not their business. Right? And that is an elderly woman. A lot of negativity. Obviously, she goes home. I don't know if she has children. I don't know if she lives alone. She's elderly. Most elderly people live alone, right? Because their husbands are gone, passed on, or whatever. And she probably was just thinking about how mean the people were to her. Right? On the street, she probably goes home and just thinks about it. Okay, so this is for next week. But I want to give it to you guys this week so you can contemplate it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next week it's on getting what you want, okay, in life. Okay, so it's basically you put the wish out there and you get it. Okay? So in this envelope, what you guys find is 3 things. You'll find a yellow ribbon, okay? You will find a yellow card,